The world outside your window looks the same. The sky still stretches overhead, people move about their lives, and the rhythms of existence hum along as usual. But something is missing. Not pain, not sorrow, not fear. Something far more insidious. Joy. Passion. The electric current of feeling that once made life feel vivid and real. You scroll through your phone, watch the news, sip your coffee, you laugh at a joke. Or at least, you think you do. The motion is there. The sound escapes your lips. But where is the sensation? You hear the words, "I love you," but they brush against you like the wind. Present, but never quite touching. Somewhere along the way, without noticing, you stopped feeling things deeply. And the strangest part? You can't even tell when it happened. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. But what if the real epidemic isn't hatred or chaos, but something far quieter? What if modern life isn't drowning us in suffering, but starving us of meaning? How many of us are living not in agony, but in numbness? Not in tragedy, but in a hollow absence of feeling? And if we've grown so accustomed to this state, how can we even recognize it, let alone escape it? Something is deeply wrong, and yet almost no one is talking about it. Let's change that. Emotional numbness is not loud. It doesn't announce itself like heartbreak or grief. It doesn't demand attention like rage or despair. Instead, it creeps in silently, like fog rolling over a once vivid landscape, dulling the edges of existence until all that remains is a gray, lifeless blur. But why? Why are so many of us feeling less, caring less, being less? Psychology tells us that chronic stress, trauma, and overstimulation can deaden the nervous system. When the mind is bombarded with too much news, too much pressure, too much comparison, it stops registering things as significant. The highs feel lower. The lows feel distant. Life becomes a series of transactions rather than experiences. Philosophy, on the other hand, warns of something deeper: alienation. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of a world where individuals become mere objects, functioning, existing, but devoid of essence. The modern world demands efficiency, but in doing so, it strips us of something vital. We become machines processing life rather than living it. Then there's society itself. We live in an era of endless distractions, where every moment of silence is filled with scrolling, streaming, consuming. But here's the paradox. The more we numb discomfort, the more we numb everything else too. When we escape pain, we also escape joy. When we avoid boredom, we rob ourselves of wonder. And so we drift. We function. We perform the script of life without ever truly inhabiting it. But at what cost? If we cannot feel, do we even exist in any meaningful way? The answer lies in what happens next, in the unseen consequences of our quiet detachment. At first, emotional numbness seems harmless, a quiet defense mechanism, a buffer between you and the chaos of the world. But what happens when this shield becomes a prison? Without deep feeling, life loses its texture. Food is just fuel. Music is just noise. Love is just routine. You smile, you nod, you play your part. But beneath the surface, there is no resonance, only an eerie, weightless detachment. And here's the terrifying part. The longer this goes on, the harder it becomes to remember what real feeling even is. Neurologically, this is called learned emotional suppression. The brain, exposed to constant stress and overstimulation, adapts by reducing its emotional responses. Over time, it stops distinguishing between what matters and what doesn't. This is why so many people today feel exhausted but restless, comfortable but unfulfilled, alive, yet somehow absent from their own existence. But the consequences go beyond the personal. A society of emotionally numb individuals is a society incapable of deep connection, of empathy, of revolution. Relationships turn hollow. Conversations remain on the surface. Art becomes mechanical, lacking the raw depth that once defined human expression. Even suffering itself becomes background noise, easily dismissed, because when nothing truly moves you, everything starts to feel the same. And so, we continue, scrolling, consuming, existing, but not truly living. But what if there's another way? What if numbness is not the final state, but the symptom of something we can undo? Perhaps to reclaim what has been lost, we must first unlearn the lie that detachment is survival. What if everything you've been told about emotional resilience is wrong? We are taught that to survive, we must toughen up. Don't take things too personally. Keep your emotions in check. Stay productive. But what if this very conditioning is what's keeping us numb? What if the key to truly feeling again is not suppression, but surrender? Breaking free from numbness is not about forcing yourself to be happy or chasing artificial highs. It's about reawakening your ability to feel deeply, which means confronting everything you've spent years avoiding. First, we must learn to sit with discomfort. We run from boredom, from sadness, from uncertainty, drowning them in distractions. But what if we stopped running? What if, instead of numbing out, we leaned in, fully experiencing even the raw, uncomfortable moments? The irony is that pain and joy are two sides of the same coin. To feel one, we must be willing to feel the other. Second, we must reconnect with presence. Our world is designed to pull us away from ourselves, from our senses, from the now. But presence is where life actually happens. Try this. Listen to a song, but do nothing else. Watch the rain, but don't reach for your phone. Hold someone's gaze a second longer than usual. These are micro-rebellions against numbness, small acts of defiance that awaken something long dormant. And finally, we must reclaim meaning, passion, purpose, love. These things don't just appear. They emerge when we invest in what matters, when we commit ourselves fully. Numbness is not permanent. It is a symptom of disconnection. And once we begin the work of reconnection, something miraculous happens. We come back to life. Here's the truth no one tells you. Emotional numbness is not a malfunction. It is a signal, a quiet alarm from the depths of your being, whispering that you have drifted too far from yourself. It is not a sign of weakness, but of survival, a mind that has shielded itself for too long, waiting for you to notice. And now you have. This changes everything. Because if numbness is not the end state but a message, then it is not something to fear. It is something to answer. The great paradox is this. We spend so much time trying to escape feeling, avoiding pain, suppressing vulnerability, seeking comfort, only to find that what we truly crave is to feel alive again. Not just the highs, but everything. The rawness, the beauty, the weight, the wonder. This is what it means to be human. Not to function, not to perform, but to experience. And so, the ultimate rebellion is not just to wake up, it is to stay awake, to stop numbing out, to step fully into reality even when it hurts, to love even when it's uncertain, to create even when it's imperfect, to live even when it would be easier not to. Because in the end, what else is there? One day you will look back and realize that the moments that truly mattered were the ones where you felt something real. So, what will you choose? Another day of quiet detachment? Or the terrifying, beautiful, electrifying risk of truly being alive?